Alright, so I just got done watching a video of this man, Myron Fay. And Myron Fay obviously was a victim of gang stalking. And unfortunately got complicated. And he chose, for whatever reason, to take it to violence, which, I would never recommend to anybody. But that's something that continues to happen. People who go through gang stalking react to it in very strange ways. Well, humans are animals, and if you put an animal in the corner, they're gonna you know lash out, so to speak. It's gonna be a fight or flight. Um, to the outside world, him taking a gun and doing that was a very strange thing, and it does look strange. But he was systematically stalked every single day of his life, and the people closest to him were doing it to him, and they were being financed. They were being asked to do these assignments to help him out. That's the way he explained it. That's how his family was told it was for him, was to help him. And none of that stuff was to help him. That was a system of gang stalking, and the people were asked to wear different sorts of colors. That's called color coding. They were following him with the brights on, doing brightening tactics. And he obviously was looking for help. He wanted somebody to speak to him about it and to help him through this thing he was going through. I've spoken to numerous target individuals, probably like between 30 and 40 people who've gone through gang stalking. I used to set up courses at one point for people who were going through it. And I've been going through it for a while now. It's been almost 3 years. So I know exactly what his experience has been from a neutral standpoint, from the brightening, the color coding, the street theater, him being followed back and forth to the stores. Um, the first thing people are going to do when they come across this is they're going to say that this man is paranoid, or he was a drug user, or for whatever reason it's a hoax. He just made it up. But who knows? Who in the right mind would do something like that? But that seems to be the approach that most people take when they hear these stories. And it's been coming on the news more often. Now the news is covering gang stalking. There's responsible people, public officials who are stepping forward and admitting that gang stalking is a problem and it's real. A gang is just 3 or more people. Any 3 people is a gang. It can be 3 old women. So if 3 people are systematically following people and doing things to them, repeatedly having confrontations with them, as soon as they leave their house, they follow the person. When the person comes back and they follow them, that's stalking. So technically, he is being gang stalked. There's nothing, he's not exaggerating about it at all. The average person within the United States being stalked statistically is being stalked by 3 or more people. And there's thousands of people on the internet talking about it. And Myron, I guess Myron made some sort of official report claiming that he was hearing voices and whatnot. That's something called EVP, where there's some sort of voice-to-skull technology, supposedly, that creates people hearing voices. Fortunately, I've never had that experience, but I've heard enough from people going through gang stalking to believe that there is something to it. There is some sort of technology like that, like some sort of remote audio device that people can use. But the systematic gang stalking can happen in the workplace, it can happen at home, it can happen anywhere. People will be asked to do it. In his area, it could have been a neighborhood watch group, and the people were being given resources, restaurant discounts, prepaid credit cards, constantly orchestrate this stuff on him. And to the people doing it, some of the people might have thought it was legitimate. But look what happened to him. He ended up dead, and somebody else ended up getting injured. That easily could have been a child. It easily could have been an elderly person. Something really horrible could have happened. More so, that was horrible what happened, but it could have got worse. And the influx of the gang stalking is going on rapidly. It's just every single day there's people who are being followed, experiencing these tactics. You leave your house, you get followed by somebody with their brights on you, brightening, car with their brights behind you. The person can be wearing a red shirt. You go to the store, there's somebody following you around the store wearing a red shirt. You leave the store and you go back home. All this is networked systematically. These people are being sent like voice notes to their phone, or messages through Facebook apps or whatnot, explaining to them what to do, how to do these assignments. I had a woman who contacted me through YouTube, explaining to me that she was a gang stalker. She said she was approached at a shopping mall, given $100 to change her hair color, to wear certain color clothes, and to follow people with the brights on in broad daylight. And then after that, she would be contacted through her telephone through a smoking advertisement ad. And she would pick up her phone, and it would be a smoking advertisement ad that would come through. And that's how she knew it was her cue to get the assignment. And so people are recruiting people to do these assignments against people. And Myron, I just feel bad for him because I know exactly what he went through. And he should not be looked at as somebody who is paranoid or anything like that, or had some sort of mental disorder. He just didn't have the right people there to speak to him and guide him through it. And, whatever happened in his situation, there's always going to be people to lie. When people are doing activity like this, they're going to lie about it. They're going to make up any story they can. They're going to make up any kind of lie they can, so they don't have to be held accountable for it. So nobody should be surprised if anybody said that he's making it up. That's the first thing people should, don't be surprised. People will go to great lengths to lie to cover up the activity. That's number one. People should do more research on Myron and look more deeply into what he was going through and try to learn from that. There's something there to be learned from. I'm not sure how old he was. I didn't look too much into his story. I listened to him speak for about 30 minutes, and I know for a fact that he's telling the truth. Only somebody who's gone through gang stalking can really explain how it operates from first person's perspective. The people doing the assignments on you, they don't know anything. Most of these people are meant to believe that they have some importance that they don't have, and they're playing some sort of important role, and they're not. They're just there to harass people and stalk people. That's all it is. There's nothing special about it. It's just a system of harassment that's meant to basically ruin the life of an individual. And that's exactly what it did. It pushed a guy who was healthy and intelligent and well-meaning and respectable to go out with a gun and start shooting people. There's nothing special about that. There's nothing, drug dealers do that. Drug dealers go out and get people to go shoot people. There's nothing important about that. I think it's very, very sad that something like this can happen to somebody, and they can be talking about it online for so long, saying, this is happening to me, this is happening to me. And, nobody in the social group around him stepped in just to speak with him and talk to him. And that's probably really, really what he needed. I think the people who target people more so behind the scene kind of do, like psychological type profiles on individuals and try to assess what can push them to do things more so than others and get them more distracted to whatever degree. And I think with Myron, they caught him on a downward spiral, and he just got tired of going out into the world every day and dealing with this stuff and trying to portray, his life to people and get disrespected. People have psychological weaknesses, spiritual weaknesses, and those are used. I've been going through gang stalking for almost 3 years, and I've had, my food drugged. I've had cars come at me like they were going to run me over. And when I was walking down the street, I remember walking for miles, and cars would come purposely like they were going to hit me and then pull off the last minute. These people were being asked purposely to do these assignments. and it was being sent to him. And then I would go all the way home, and every area I went through, different people would be doing these different sorts of assignments, 24/7, and it never ended. It's just a constant thing that keeps going. Fortunately, the news is picking up on it though. You know, there's always going to be a few strong people out there, a few people with leadership skills who are going to do honest reporting, and there's always going to be strong people who want to help others. And you know, Myron was obviously a strong person who wanted to help others. He just got caught in a bad position. You know, like he was saying, like Myron was saying in his video, it's not even about the people who are we're trying to harm him for whatever. It's not even about them. It's about the people who should have been there to help him. Like, where were they at? You know, I mean, I remember I spoke to one guy. He was the first person to contact me when I started coming online helping people with gang stalking. I used to have another channel, and I had a website called begangsstalking.com. I just, numerous people all over the world I spoke to about gang stalking, on and on and on. I used to go out in the streets and just stand there and talk to the people who were gang stalking me, pass out flyers all over the place, just everywhere. And I learned a lot. I learned a whole lot. But there was one guy I spoke to, and he actually does not get gang stalked anymore, which is very great. But he was near suicide, and people were trying to force drugs on him and tell him there was something psychologically wrong with him, and he would never leave his room. Fortunately, he got on a good track. I was able to speak to him. He was able to get out of his house, start moving around. He started confronting the people who were doing the assignments on him. You know, it was a rough situation for him, but he got through it. And there was other people like that. I spoke to a woman who I set up a course for her, and she was terrified to leave her apartment. She was living in a big city. She even had people who would shoot her with BB guns, people who would do like a whole host of things to her. And I was able to speak to her long enough for her to get a handle on what was going on. And the next thing you know, she was out there talking to people, motivating people, getting people to listen to her story. And so, if somebody contacted me and they were just like, "Hey, I'm thinking about going to harm somebody," I'd tell them immediately, "Don't do it. Don't do it," because all that's doing is saying that that statement right there is saying that those people have power over you. The people who are trying to harm you have power over you. You get angry and yell about it and stuff. These people don't have any power. These people are giving the people that you follow you around the streets every single day up and down the street. Now these people, they're giving little coupons and stuff to do this stuff. It's not about them. You know, it's not. You're just making them more bigger than what they are. If you make a big deal out of it, it's not even about them. Myron should have had somebody come in and go out into the world, videotape that stuff with him, and deal with him on an everyday basis. And for whatever reason, he seemed like a very likable person, very sociable. For whatever reason, it didn't happen. Somebody came to me with that same thing. Say they want to harm somebody, I say don't do it. You know, if they want to take drugs, I say don't do it. Don't involve yourself with drugs. Don't know suicide, none of that stuff. Deal with this stuff as you can. Every single day, deal with it as you can, and try to find loopholes, try to find new strategies to get through it. I mean, it's a spiritual warfare type of thing. You know, there's a whole lot of things out there in the world that people have no idea exist. And it's a spiritual obstacle. It's a psychological and spiritual thing. And if something happens and you stumble, you can't take it to the extreme. Because look how much energy it took to get you to stumble. You know what I mean? It'll take somebody like Myron to make 50 other people. It'll take one target individual to make 20, 30, 50 other people. You know what I mean? It's easy to get somebody distracted or get somebody defocused when you have so much energy on them from so many different sources. That's not hard to do. The greatest power takes the lightest touch. You know, so a lot of people are going to see Myron's story and they might take it and say, you know, all these people doing this, they have all this power and they're so evil. Myron wasn't under mind control. I saw in his story isn't even about mind control, but one video said mind control. Myron was under it. I don't even believe mind control is really real. I think people have the ability to influence the mind, and you can try to condition an individual to do stuff. And these gang stalking assignments are a great distraction, but it's not mind control. Mind control is a situation where you wake up in the hospital and somebody got you on videotape, you know, harming some individual or something, and you don't even remember doing it. That's mind control. If it was truly mind control, you wouldn't. You know what I mean? This gang stalking stuff doesn't have any power over anybody's mind. It's nearly not as powerful as people think it is. It's only when you put your own energy into it. It's what you make out of the situation. And there's constantly people benefiting though. People are constantly getting all these little discounts and stuff like that. And the people, most of these people, the people who are the strongest behind it, who want to destroy the individual the most, oftentimes these people feel empty within. They feel empty within and they want some sort of power over somebody, so they're trying to make up for it in other ways. In other cases, there may be people who are involved with the individual who really aren't that bad of people. They may have just be finding themselves in a position to watch the person and do assignments. They may not be that bad of a person, so it goes both ways. But the individuals who strongly want to take advantage of individual, break individual down, they wouldn't have been able to live like Myron could have lived. I can look at my life and see the gang stalk that happened to me. The people wouldn't have been able to walk my shoes. They never would have made it in my shoes. I know that for a fact. I know they never would have made it. And so it takes strong individuals to go through gang stalking. Gang stalking and the dynamics behind it, it's really complex. I've had situations where every single day, I would go out into the world and constantly try to make it better. Talk to people, tell people what gang stalking was, tell them how it works, pass out flyers, and no matter where I went, it was just constantly cars with their brights on, people following me with all these different color coding tactics, the street theater, and it can be a homeless person in an alley that they get to do an assignment against you, or it can be somebody running a Fortune 500 company. It doesn't matter. It can come in all these different ways. And so the psychological distraction is huge. But all an individual needs is just a few people to come in. That's all they need. It's just a couple of people to come and talk. Even with all that distraction and all that stuff going on, just a few people to come in and say, man, we were gang stalking you. This was happening, blah, 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 blah. Make a pact with him, talk to him. And that would have been enough right there to keep him from losing his life and to keep those other people. So, again, I don't know the man. I don't know the man. I'm just seeing his story on the internet. But he definitely is somebody who I won't take, I don't take it lightly what happened to him. I look at it as a thing where his story should be inspiration to other people getting gang stalked, to make his death a benefit. Make what happened to him a benefit in some way, and show others, other people who are going through targeting, show them what happened to him. See, I just came across this stuff. I've spoken to numerous targeted individuals all over the world, but this is the first time I've seen his story. And it's groundbreaking, actually. It ended up on the news. He was on YouTube saying all this stuff was happening to him, and then he just went out and he did that. It's a trip. It's deep. It's a trip. And then people are still going to think he's paranoid. He's when in actuality, like Myron said, they're ignorant. They don't have the knowledge needed to make a conscious decision, or they can't make a responsible decision because they don't have any base of knowledge of what gang stalking is or what this stuff is about. With the proper education, people will realize that he wasn't paranoid or mentally ill. This man was going through a really advanced harassment campaign. And that's all. And to be honest with you, I feel bad about the people he hurt, but to be honest with you, aside from his act was bad, but for him to deal with that, to keep coming in line, trying to make sense out of this and better his life, this guy is more of a hero. He's not a hero because he hurt anybody or shot anybody. He's not a hero because he died. But he was trying to change something horrible in the world and trying to make sense out of it for other people. And, people should really pay attention to that. There's people every day who are doing heroic things that nobody knows about. There's people right now risking their life doing things. There's people right now going through all sorts of stuff, and no one even knows about it. It's never spoken about. People just disappear, and that's it. And, luckily we got his story. It's there. People can learn from it. One of the things I hope for is for there not to be somebody else who has to do that, something like that. That there's somebody else who can step forward and speak to him. It's confusing to somebody who's never gone through gang stalking, because they're going to hear him saying all this stuff. Even the people who do the assignments on him, to a light degree, it's going to sound really confusing. And it's going to sound like he's exaggerating maybe, or it's not real, but that's not the case. Gang stalking is more real than people think. It's far more real than people think. It is very, and gang stalking is just slang. There's all kinds of names for it. It's been going on. I spoke to a woman from Detroit who's been going through it since the early 80s. And she explained to me how when she first started going through it, she had never heard of anything like that. And she would go into a cafeteria that she worked at, and set up forks and knives and plates. And she would leave and go on break. And when she came back, all the forks and plates in the cafeteria would be removed and put back. And she believed that there was something wrong with her. She thought she was suffering from some sort of mental issue. But over time, other things started happening to her. She started notice herself being followed by people. She started seeing the cars on the corner, the same person following her, 3 or 4 times throughout the city. And then she figured out she was being gang stalked. And it's not anything covert. It's not any secret, hidden. Probably this is only here to agitate somebody. There's nothing special about it. It's only there to spiritually and psychologically mess an individual over. That's all it is. That's it. That's all it is. That's how something demonic and horrible like that can exist. I don't have the slightest clue. But it's going to take a few people to keep coming across Myron's story and looking into it and learning from it, and then it'll make a difference. It'll make more of a difference in the future. Like I said, for people looking into this, it's not even about the trying to put power over into somebody else and saying these people destroyed Myron or these people did this. Those people don't have any power. Myron just got himself caught up in this situation. Those people were there doing these things to him. Of course they were. They were doing it 24/7 to him. He's not making it up. These people were distracting him, getting paid to stalk this man full time. It's not an illusion. It's real. But they don't have it. Those are empty people to begin with. He was the one with all the power. Obviously, this situation found him for a reason. And he just got crossed up. He just got caught up. And it can happen easy. It can happen really easy. It can happen really easy. And I think the goal of gang stalking is to put the blame on the individual. To make them seem like there's something wrong. People who were gang stalking Myron, they're going to want everybody to believe that there's something wrong with him. That Myron was messed up. That Myron was paranoid, or Myron, was a dope addict or something, or Myron was confused. There's nothing confusing about him. It's obvious what happened to him. It's right there. So, I just encourage people to just learn from this. Learn from this as much as you can, and try to avoid getting caught up in this stuff. Deal with good people. A really good person even if they're doing assignments on you, a truly good person would have came to his aid and spoke to him before that happened. You know, somebody could have been more understanding or more accepting of that scenario. And so that's a whole other thing about gang stalking. Even though all these people are doing assignments on you, where you go, you change the nature of the people who are doing them to you. So the more you push yourself in a direction to find spiritually good people and spiritually whole people, even though these networks and these programs may offer those people some sort of reward to do these assignments, you're still going to be dealing with more people inclined to making better decisions. So a lot of it has to do with the circle you're around, the people you're around, and trying to avoid becoming vulnerable. But anyhow, I hope the people around Myron who are doing this to him learn from that, and the people that don't understand it try to understand it, because it could happen to them. That's another point. Gang stalking, there's nobody out there that's immune to gang stalking. Gang stalking isn't something gang stalking doesn't happen to people who are nobody people, are people who are confused. Gang stalking happens to specific people, and I think it's more, to be honest with you, I think this has to deal more with the spiritual realm. That's a whole other subject that most people probably, that's a whole other topic. But it's like, it comes into a person's life, it's there to distract them for whatever reason, ruin their life. That's tragedy. I don't even got the words for it. That's a tragedy what happened to him. And it can happen to anybody. Gang stalking can happen to anybody. There's nobody with any special type of thing who, if somebody wants, if the right people want to gang stalk somebody for whatever reason, it doesn't matter who it is. The person can be gang stalked, rich or poor, and they don't even have to know it's happening. They're lucky if they find out it's happening. If you find out you're being gang stalked, then you're lucky. But you won't even know what's happening. All kinds of people running around saying they're following me. They don't. You've come, yeah, they're being gang stalked, but they don't know what's going on though. See.